So you might be like me and wondering, where are the updates at for Dune Awakening? When's the beefy July update? Has it been delayed? So in this video, I'll go over what we know so far, along with the details on a build contest, some extra tips and tricks from the devs themselves, and a player survey. I will also cover some notes on player base raiding, when they plan to have a new Devstream, what to do about Burnout, player bans, AI, and Steam Deck support. We can have a quick look here at the current state of the game, and yes, it's been dropping quite a bit, with reviews going down to just positive now. If you go through them, you can see the majority of them are players getting to the end game and walking away disappointed, and I can somewhat agree with that. We'll talk a bit more later. However, in terms of future content, we have some exciting news. Sandworm Riding is something they plan for the future. If you've seen the movies, yeah, it could be something pretty exciting. Not sure how it will really work with regards to worms mainly patrolling their own sectors. Maybe we'll get a whole new map when that arrives. As for player base raiding, this guy likes the idea of it, kinda wants more, but one of the community manager points out they'll be more likely to incentivize it even less, as they probably don't think it's a great thing in the game. But it is an option if you're not aware. In a PvP zone, if there are bases there, you can raid them for about 6 minutes after a sandstorm passes. This player asks, what's up with a roadmap or future vision? The dev says we may not see a roadmap, more likely to have future dev streams, of which he is planning. It will be on Twitch or YouTube, and don't expect it any earlier than August, as he's going on vacation. So that'll be something to look forward to. But before we get into what to expect with the update cadence and when the next big update is, let's talk about player burnout. If you're getting bored of the game, even the dev says you should probably just take a step back. Just wait and see what new content's added. There are a lot of different games out there, and it isn't a requirement that this become the only game you ever play. The devs are not very likely to be able to keep up with the demand that at least some players have who want to play the game non-stop. But when can we expect the next update, the next quality of life update at least? Well, this turns out to be August, as we've already had the beefy July update. That was 1.1.10. We went through that all here in this channel when it released July the 4th. We did have a smaller follow update, which was 1.1.15, which is mainly just a bunch of hotfixes and a little bit of balancing, with the main update on July the 7th. So yes, there won't be a new update other than smaller hotfixes until August. And again, that's confirmed here. It's asked, is the big July update coming? And that, yeah, has already happened. We are now waiting for August. They also do confirm they plan to have more of the updates, at least for the Deep Desert, to come with the major updates, so they can avoid, the incident they had with D6. It was a pretty big mess up. So any balancing again will most likely have to wait until August. It was asked about DLC and like cosmetic packs. And again, I've mentioned this before, but there will be much more substantial cosmetics and things like that in future DLC. The current DLC that we got by Steam at launch was very minimal because they were focusing on the release of the game. And they only came out with that DLC because Steam forced them. As for a time frame and when we can expect new DLC, now the devs do have an estimated time for that, but they won't share it until we get closer to the release. Which, yes, can just mean anything. We don't really have a clue. It could be weeks or months from now. As for the devs' focus on the game, are they working on, say, a Coden Exiles #2? Well, it doesn't appear they are. It's pretty much Dune for the foreseeable future. That's definitely nice to hear that the dev team is pretty fully focused on it. And if they keep the content flowing, keep the game in a healthy state, I can definitely see it having a pretty good future. We got a little bit of a tease here. Deposit all water is definitely coming. As for AI, they have an internal policy where they agree not to use it. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. I don't work in software development. Now, you may have seen a lot of, duping posts. Players taking advantage of bugs and glitches that you could end up duplicating items. Well, the devs did say they are very much aware of this, and they have the tools to track it pretty easily. So be warned, if you are taking advantage of this, they do have the ability to fully track inventory transactions and be prepared for a big ban wave. Now, this was at July the 14th. It's been a few days, but it's unlikely we'll see like an overall announcement of it, other than keeping an eye on social media platforms and an excess of players complaining they got banned for no reason. I think the game is pretty fairly balanced in terms of resource gathering. There's a lot of ways to speed up the process and automate things and just make it a ton more efficient. Of course, there are one or two gripes I may have, like gathering plant fiber, but that aside, I don't really see there being any need to dupe items. It just completely takes away from the entire fun of the game. Lastly, the Steam Deck. This player was asking for keyboard and mouse support, and the community manager did respond with more info on that soon. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover with regards to the new info from the devs. If you haven't seen these hotfixes that got released, say July the 16th, you can see it's mainly server stability, fixes with players getting stuck and inventory items going missing, with another fix on July the 10th with more stability fixes, disconnects and crashing issue fixes, and rockets improperly targeting players out of sight. If we do have a quick look at this build contest, basically they'll want you to submit an overview of the base you've built. You can win as Chome, Atreides, and Harkonnen. One of each of those base types will win a Lego Ornithopter. You will of course need to provide them with your personal details if you do win for them to actually deliver it to you. You also get a pretty cool looking rifle skin, and there are 6 runner-up prizes with a collector's box, and there will be some honorable mentions, non-specific number, which will also win the rifle skin. They cover the details here on how to submit. You can post on platforms like Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and just make sure to tag them. Hashtag Dune Awakening. Make sure you read the rules here. Ultimately, don't go submitting your entry more than once. They did make a post also with some tips. How to turn on the in-game radio. While you're in your Ornithopter, you can press N, I believe in any other vehicle too, and you can switch between these different channels. They show you how you can customize your emote wheel if you've collected other emotes, how to customize your different armor pieces, and the fact that you can, some of you might not even be aware, just check the armor section of your inventory. You can also customize your vehicles with swashes, just changing the colors, and you can also unlock different variants to change them too. And the tip, which we all wish we knew sooner, being able to simply transfer the inventory to a chest from the vehicle in your base while you're at the chest. If you haven't been doing so already, you can simply refuel all generators at your base while you're at your sub-thief console. And finally, there's the player survey. I recommend you at least do it. Takes a few minutes of your time, and try be as genuine as possible to help them improve the game. If you really don't like the deep desert, there's an option to say so. Again, jumping back to say the player numbers on Steam, keep in mind this is concurrent players, the amount of players that play at any one moment, and this is only for PC. Dune Awakening has not yet launched for consoles. It has plans to do so though, and they'll probably get a more polished game. But yes, a lot of players are walking away disappointed at the endgame. Additionally, Dune Awakening plays more like a survival game that you play through once and there is an ending. And on top of that, the top gear, the tier 6 gear, is not exactly necessary. There's no real challenging, say, PvE content in the game. And the PvP content in the game is pretty much just Ornithopter warfare. There's very little actual on-foot PvP other than the occasional lab station where you might encounter one or two other players. But in general, that just ends up being a pretty quick fight of one player running away. So it definitely needs work, and it needs better focus on what they actually want to achieve at the end game. It's pretty drastic going from Haga Basin, a nice PvE zone, very nicely populated with lots of different outposts and great POIs, to ending up in the deep desert where everything is just very deserted. So we'll have to see what future updates bring, and I look forward to them adding new maps like Haga Basin. But that's it for the video. Thanks all for watching.